Hey everybody, it's Jim from Cigars. And what I'm going to do in today's video is demonstrate how to set up a new humidor, a brand new humidor, and get it what they call seasoned for use in keeping your cigars in it. And the one I'm going to be using is actually a used one that it's been dormant for a long time that I've put away a couple of years ago and I'm just taking out now. So you also need to season a humidor that has been kept out of service for any period of time. So that's what we're going to do today. The first thing we need to be aware of is having a good hygrometer, a good humidity sensor. And this one is reading really high. I was screwing around with it and doing a little testing before we started recording. What we can do, there's a quick and dirty test I want to show you for being able to see if your hygrometer is accurate or not. And I'm going to open this one up, and because this one is an analog sensor in here. And analog sensors are generally kind of frowned upon, but most old style humidors come with them. And I really suggest you supplement it with one like this. And this is called a ThermoPro. And this one, I have a link in the description to it. This one has served me very well. I've had a couple of them, and they're very accurate. So what we do is we wet a cloth, not completely wet, just damp, and get it up to room temperature. I put mine in the microwave for like 10 seconds, get it up to 70 or 80 degrees. Put your humidity sensors in there, fold it over like that, kind of tuck down the side so it's kind of airtight. It's not going to be perfect. Now you wait 15 minutes. And I have a picture of what I did with a couple of them to show you how it looks. But after 15 minutes, these should read about 97 to 99%. And if they do that, that means you're plus or minus 3% accuracy. So this is a kind of a quick and dirty way of doing it. There's also one called the salt test method. I'll put a link to that one in the description because I've talked about that one before, and there's a lot of good videos about how to do that. Okay, let's put this one back in. By the way, these analog hygrometers, all you got to do to pop them out is go from the inside and pop them out, and then you pop them back in like that. So now we're pretty sure we have an accurate measurement system set up. Now we want to start to season our humidor. And I'm going to talk about 3 different methods of doing that. So let's start with the first one. In the first one, I'll call that the wipe down method. The interior of wood humidors is Spanish cedar. It's a very absorbent wood. What you want to do is get this wood seasoned, in other words, with some moisture in it. If you don't do that, you're going to put your cigars in, and moisture is going to move from most to least, and you're going to be seasoning it with your cigars, which are going to end up getting ruined. So that's why we're doing this. The first 2 methods we use are going to involve distilled water, or alternatively to that, what I call cigar juice, which is propylene glycol alcohol solution. But I actually prefer distilled water because it's cheaper and easy to use. These are about $1.50. Make sure you're using distilled water though, not bottled water, not filtered water, not tap water. It really makes a big difference. So what we want to do is we want to wet down our cloth here, a clean cloth. And again, we don't want it dripping wet. I'm distributing the water around so that the rag itself is pretty damp. And you want to do the shelves and all the wood pieces as well as the inside. I wipe it down, and you can see it leaves a little bit of a water area there. That should disappear in about 10 minutes. You can see it already drying out as the Spanish cedar absorbs the moisture. If it's wet after 15 minutes or so, you're putting way too much moisture on it. So let's do that. So we're wiping down all these wood pieces because they're all Spanish cedar, and they're all going to absorb the moisture out of our cigars if we don't do that. So we want to do that with all these, the shelf and everything. And then last but not least, we want to do it with the interior as well. So we want to go along the edges. If you're doing this at home, please be more careful than me and take your time. I'm just doing it for demonstration purposes. So we got that done. Now, next step, close it up and watch your humidity sensor. I'm going to put this one in. Watch your humidity sensor for a day or 2. And after a day or 2, you should be up to about 65% relative humidity, if not close to 70. If you're not up to at least 65, then do it again and kind of repeat the process on a daily basis until you're getting 65 or 70%. Second method, open our humidor, take out our pieces here, and we're going to use distilled water again, but we're going to use a small bowl. And this bowl is the smallest one that I had. It's really kind of overkill. You could use a shot glass, especially for this size humidor. This is kind of overkill, but if you had one that's 100 or 150 or 200 CIGAR humidor, you'd want to use a bowl of water like this and just put 2 or 3 ounces in it and just set it in the bottom, right in the bottom of the humidor, and put your shelving in. Check it after a day, and it might be up to 75% already. Check it after 2 days, and it's probably going to be 80 or so. Nothing wrong with having it overshoot. What we're going to do after we take the water out is put our shelves in, close it up, and watch the humidity settle back down to 65 to 70%. Put our preferred humidifier method in, and away we go. A very popular method these days is Boveda packs. And Boveda actually has a special pack that is for seasoning humidors, and it's a 84%. Now, what you do not want to do is you don't want to say, well, I'll just use I bought a bunch of 65% or 70% Bovedas. I'll just put a ton of them in there and that's going to season my humidor. That will not work because Bovedas are self-regulating. If you put 3 70% ones in here, it might get up to 71 or 72, but you're not going to get up to that high level that you want to season it. So the Boveda directions basically say put the 84% pack in, close your humidor, and let it sit for 2 weeks without opening it at all. And they say it's going to get high, it's going to get 85% humidity, it's going to get up to 84% relative humidity and so forth, but don't open it up. The reason why it takes so long is because, again, Bovedas are self-regulating, and they're going to kind of control that and keep it right at 84, where with our distilled water method, you might shoot a little bit above that 84 level. So this covers the setup of your humidor and the seasoning of your humidor. I have another video that I have a link to here that tells you about how to maintain your humidor ongoing, especially in dry winter weather. So I will see you next time from Cigars.